Yo, this is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real fans, real talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. It was a really good weekend, man. We did some great things for the community and for the youth. We're gonna talk about all of that today. Plus, NBA Finals is going down. The series is tied up 2-2. Baseball is picking up right now. A lot of things is going on. And we got a couple of guests that should be joining us a little bit later on in the program. But before we get to all of that, let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? You know what the time it is, man. We got NBA Finals Game 5, the most pivotal game of the series and the season right now. Most important game for both these teams tonight. Major League Baseball playoffs. We had a major NBA trade that went down as well. And then some special guests, man. You know, I heard, you know, it's been circulating. The footage has been out there, man. That Ballin for Peace was another legendary event held by H2O, man. So we got a lot to get into, man. And shout out to the supporters. You already see the comment section going crazy.
Facts. Big shout out to Baller's Life Isiah Jackson, who took home the slam dunk contest. He got that trophy. He got the $500 cash prize, and he got all the bragging rights. Big shout out to Maxwell Pierce. He actually wasn't able to come last minute. So we got to see that duo, them two guys battle it out next year. But you know, listen, man, what that young man was out there doing, and I'm gonna put up the meta footage from the Ray-Bans because I had the Ray-Bans on, so y'all had the judges' camera view as well. I'm gonna start dropping the footage this week from Ballin for Peace. But great event. So many people in the building. So many people came out to support. The celebrities were there. The vendors were there. The players were there. All the athletes. Everybody was there. And the rain didn't stop the show. So you gotta love and respect that so much.
That's a fact, and I'm so happy for Haron, man. I know he puts together a great event every year, and it's a lot of work to get these things done. So shout out to him again for another successful event.
Exactly. So while we waiting, because Ron just texted me now. He's getting ready to check in a minute, and let me see where Baller's Life Zay is at. But in the meantime, it is 2-2. So we're going let's try to get to some of this NBA Finals talk while we're waiting on the guests to join us. And I guess I'll start right here with this question from Tyson, who says, Game 5 tonight, who y'all rolling with? I favor the Thunder tonight. I agree. I think the Thunder take Game 5 and put their foot on Indiana's neck, and we see them ultimately win this NBA Finals.
I think you have to favor the Thunder. Obviously, they handled their business in Game 2 the last time they were in OKC. They were winning by a significant margin in Game 1 before the fourth quarter comeback by the Pacers. So you got to favor them. They're favored by 9.5 tonight. If I'm a gambling man, I'm probably leaning towards that 9.5. OKC tends to win big at home, so I think you got to follow that trend. And a couple of things I wanted to point out, Trip, going into this game, man. It's 2-2, but realistically, I personally feel, and I could be wrong, let me know, supporters, let me know, Trip. I feel like the Thunder have been a better team for most of this series. Again, outside of that first Game 1 comeback from the Pacers. But when you look at the raw numbers, OKC's done a great job of limiting Pacers on fast break. In terms of fast break point, we know that's the Pacers' strength. They scored 10 points fast break Game 1, 9 in Game 2, 17 in Game 3, and then 9 in Game 4. So they haven't been able to get out and run. They've been struggling on the rebounds as well. Outside of Game 1, the Pacers have not won the rebounding battle at all in the series. They won Game 1 by 17 rebounds. Since then, OKC +8, OKC +6, OKC +10. Points in the paint kind of gone the same way. Aside from Game 3, Indiana has not won points in the paint. So again, if we're looking at those three things, the Pacers can't get out and run. Pacers aren't winning the rebounding battle, and they're not winning in the paint. To me, OKC has been a better team, and that's why we lean OKC tonight as well to win.
Yes, sir. I agree. Hold on, we got H2O in the building.
H in the building.
Let me bring H2O up. Haron, congratulations again, my brother. Another successful event is in the books. Man, you continue to put on for the community. You continue to put on for these kids, and we always want to make sure we give you your flowers because we appreciate so much the work that you continue to do.
Yeah, man. Yo, sometimes it's like, like I said before, sometimes you think and you're like, man, is everybody gonna come out? Are we still gonna have like, same turnout and things of that nature? And so I get surprised every time as well too. It still feels great to see everybody come out, show love, and then I love to see the new people who come to Ballin' for Peace. Had people flying from Houston, you know what I'm saying? Derek Carter, former Laker, played as well. Like it was just super dope, man. Like and it's great to have those that new energy that never felt that before, or even some of the old guys or people who came out like Cortez from year one. Jacquet flew in from Miami, like you know what I'm saying, like Mano, his first time at Ballin' for Peace, if you can believe that, but it's super dope, man.
No, that's a fact. And I was telling Eric, the rain was trying us, but even the rain couldn't stop. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Ball for
yeah,
peace, because everybody still came out. It was packed out.
yo,
Uh,
bro.
yeah, man, it was such a successful event. Everything was
Yo,
good. Everything,
what do you think? Cause I sometimes I wasn't even able to see the dunk contest this year. I don't know, like I didn't see it at all. I'm seeing the I said, wait, what? Like I went and I looked. I'm like, oh my god, that happened. Like it was crazy. Like
yeah,
I,
you
bro.
you gotta love it, bro. Shout out to all of the dunkers. They brought it this year. Yeah, it was incredible. Shout out to Ballers like Zay. The dunks that he was up there doing, he earned that. He earned that money. He earned the trophy. I'm gonna start posting up the footage. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and go through everything. But I told everybody I got the judge's camera, so we're gonna put that out, and then once we can edit everything up, we'll put out the entire dunk contest for you guys to watch. But yeah, man, Haram, it sucks that you missed the dunk contest, but yeah, it was definitely lit. The 3-point
Yo,
shootout,
it
all
was
of that.
crazy. I see all the highlights. And I wait. I said, wait, what? I don't know what I was doing. I was like running around and having doing interviews. I'm changing like 3 times for like it was crazy. It was insane. But man, I saw that and because you said you haven't posted, but you're late now. Like everybody, it's
Yeah,
like
no. I did post the one the double dunk that Zay did in the first
okay,
round. I did
okay,
post that already. But I still have other stuff. We have so much footage. It's a lot
yeah.
to go through.
Hey, so let me ask you, H. I see you moving around the city. Congratulations on another great Baller for Peace.
Thank you.
How long do you give yourself to unwind and enjoy this one before you start preparing for next year, which is a big one next year?
So so we have an event next week on Sunday. We have
You have the youth tournament, right?
youth tournament. Well, like our own rendition of.
We might have lost connection there, Trip. He moving around the city right now.
Yeah. I mean, we must have went through the tunnel or something.
Can't really take a break, man. Especially when you got something. It's kind of the same, but totally different, right? When you're dealing with so many programs and teams and youth organizations and things of that nature, it's really, really different than just getting the celebrities or whatever, these couple of players or something like that. When you got to deal with 75 programs, right, from ages 9U all the way to 17U, that's a different ball game. So this will actually be our biggest event with the most people that's participating. But yeah, it's we right back on it, E. You know what I'm saying? And now the 10th year, I got to think into that and like almost plan it like a WrestleMania, meaning like drop the date and location and start selling tickets like tomorrow. You understand?
Yeah.
Like, and then Shiggy has said something to me, man. He said he was like, "Yo, you already got this. You don't have to. That's something that you already have." He said that about Ballin' for Peace because I still worry about it.
Yeah.
I can't not worry about it because it's a lot of work. I don't believe in just because a lot of people still. Some people, oh man, I didn't know. I'm like, huh? Like, you know what I mean? That surprises me because when everybody's supposed, like, because if we're all in the same demographic, it's like there's no way you didn't know about it. Like, you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, even if on the gram, if everybody in your demographic and your loop is posting it, then you saw it, right? So I don't really believe when people say they didn't see it, especially when they're like, influencers on social media,
Yeah.
because everybody saw it. But yeah, we're gonna get right back to it, and I think E and Ant, we're gonna have talk about just like right away, like, you know what I mean, getting you guys involved earlier,
Yeah.
and kind of doing it like that too.
Because now that this year's Ballin' for Peace is out the way, we got to come back together and we got to talk about implementing the 1v1 tournament at Ballin' for Peace.
Yes, yes.
So we
So
got to talk
we,
about that next year.
we almost had a one-on-one game. We actually had it locked in because with that three-point contest, we could get another thing in there. We could get another like a one-on-one, like a high-level one-on-one game in there.
Yes.
It's
Because it
like
goes by
hitting. Yeah, it goes by quickly. So then we have those couple of rounds. The only thing that kind of like delays Ballin' for Peace a little bit is sometimes if a performer doesn't come, because I think this year we kind of like it flew. It was like running. I got a lot of good feedback from people saying like, yo, it went really, it was like a well-oiled machine, and then we'll have our random, this is for the culture. You can't stop that when everybody like doing dances and everybody want to come on, and like Shiggy and Lucky Banks was doing a little dance off battle and stuff like that. But that's culture shit, like, you know what I mean. So you gotta take that, So it could throw you off a couple of minutes and all that, but it's all within love. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's a fact. And yeah, everybody has such positive things to say coming out of Ballin' for Peace. It's funny because I was talking to somebody earlier, and I was actually breaking it down to them in terms of wrestling, and I said, you obviously you want to be at all the Ballin' for Peace events, but the basketball game is like WrestleMania.
Yes. It's WrestleMania, yeah, and
That's a
I
fact.
You know what I mean? So you really gotta be at the basketball game, and
yeah.
the good thing about the basketball game, because it's indoors, one year, Eric, we were there. It was a damn monsoon outside,
Mhm.
and it
Oh
was
man,
still. I think it was Elm Court. I think that was.
Elmcore. It rained so bad, bro.
Mm-hmm. And we
I was
still,
like, yo, damn, son.
still
Yeah,
pulled up though. That's love.
yeah.
Like that's
Everybody still show love. Yeah. And so now John Jay is the second place that we did Ballin' for Peace back to back.
yeah,
Elmcore was one of them. 2017 and 2018 we did Elmcore, and we did it at Elmcore. I like to remind the people because we were gonna do it at St. John's. The first one was at Baruch, second one was at York College, and the third one was gonna be at St. John's University.
yeah.
And a month before the event, imagine all this energy. A month before the event, I got a text message saying that we can't do it at St. John's University. Not even a call. I tried to reach out to them, but I had to pivot, and we went from St. John's to Elmcore. And I liked it so much that we just went back. We didn't have to deal with the nonsense. We just paid for it, and we were able to do it back to back there. So John Jay is the second place that we were able to do the game back to back.
Sure.
My apologies. And then we get ready to move on to the next leg of the tour, which is gonna be back in the Bronx over by Yankee Stadium, and that's gonna be the baseball
Yes,
game.
sir.
So hold on, let me go into some of these comments. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, Scoop Hoop got a question for Ron right there as well.
He wants to know who you taking tonight, OKC or Indiana.
I'm gonna go with OKC. I have OKC winning the series. Indiana, Indiana's they're a very tough team. They're a scrappy team. They actually play their players. Their bench is very, very well put together. It's like two units, man. But I'm gonna go with OKC at home. I think Shea's gonna have a really, really good game, and the free throw merchant will do his thing.
Let me put up Imani's comment up here because Imani always got jokes. Imani says, "Yo, did y'all notice last week? First of all, shout out to Nick Barada, who also played in the game this past
Yeah.
Saturday. Just when my questions was asked, you could tell his girl away was near because he kept looking up while answering. Too funny, yo, Imani, you are crazy, man. Nothing but love for you, Imani. Let me see. Hold on.
Nick is a happily married man. He's a happily
Exactly. That's a
married
good
man.
brother.
Yes, he's a
Do
really
y'all
good dude.
agree it's a great series, despite the ratings?
I think
I'm gonna
so.
keep it a yeah. It's definitely a great series, but yeah, man, this is I haven't honestly. I watched the highlights. I haven't been
Uh-huh.
watching the games. I haven't been able to sit down and watch a full game. First off, I'm not invested. Like I'm a fan of the New York Knicks. I'm a fan of the Knicks. I'm a fan of basketball, but yeah, this doesn't excite me, to be honest with you. Even having the MVP of the league and the surprise team of the NBA. Usually, it's like a underdog darling story, but Indiana Hallenberg and the way he reacts and does his like he does too much. He's almost like unlikable. Like you know what I mean
Yeah.
from a standpoint of yeah, like I can't cheer for that dude. You know what I mean? Even if I wanted to, like it's like I can't do it. So yeah, like it would be like a Cinderella story if it
Mhm.
wasn't Tyrese Halliburton. The way he gloats and brags and bro, you're playing in Indiana, you can't be doing that.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a great overall series. I think it's been a good series, but I also think it's. I mean, aside from the game one comeback, some of these games haven't been that interesting. Game three wasn't a good game, really. Game two wasn't a good game. You know what I'm saying? So to H's point, it's like you could watch the highlights and still get an idea of how these games played out. You didn't have to watch all the. Game four probably was the only time in the series where we saw like the drama of it, with OKC being down and then having to come back in the fourth quarter. But aside from that, OKC was dominating game one up until like those last 3 minutes. Game two was a blowout. Game three was over with like 6 minutes to go. So it's been a good series, but it hasn't been great. And to H's point as well, I mean, Halliburton, it's crazy because I think Halliburton moving forward, going into next season, is going to be looked at as a villain because there's a lot of people who just don't like his style.
Yeah, I think he will be as well. And then they don't like his style. They don't like the extra stuff that Haran was just speaking about. You know, he not gonna be good in New York for a long time. That's for sure. But you know what I mean. Listen, if you're gonna ball out and you're gonna back it up, then I can't say nothing about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at that. Let me come back up here. I seen a question about this is about Shea. What shout out to Tyson. What did Shea prove after game four in a must win? Um I, I, I mean maybe to some, but we already knew he was that guy, so I
Yeah.
don't think he didn't really prove anything to me. It's just he's doing what he's supposed to do as an MVP, as a top three player in basketball. That's all that was. Evening up the series on the road, he did what he had to do. He led his team, and he's been. I mean, for the most part throughout the series, he's been balling. But I mean, he understands what's at stake. It's game four. You lose game four, you go back. Now it's done. The home court edge is done, and it's extremely hard to win. 3-1 after being down 3-1. Only one team has done that. So yeah, he understands what's at stake. But again, this is what he's supposed to do. You're an MVP. You're All NBA. you're someone who's in the conversation for face of the league. So he's not proving anything. He's been proven.
Yeah.
This is just,
Nah.
of course.
I agree. And Tyson, you know that too, Tyson. We talked about this last week when Nick was on the show, and it was after game 1, and we were like, oh, well, what does he have to prove? He ain't got to prove nothing. He's the MVP of the league. Going into the finals, I think he has scored 30 points in something like 13 out of 18 games. He scored 30 points in 3 out of these 4 NBA Finals games. He's doing everything he's supposed to do, and I don't think he's proving anything we didn't already know. Yeah. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a top 3 player in the league. Again, wherever you want to rank him is up to you, but anywhere outside the top 3 would be crazy. It's just bogus to rank him anywhere lower than 3 at this point. And he has nothing left to prove. He's done it all. Now, if he completely issues the bed the next 2 games and they lose, then maybe people are like, oh, he fell off a little bit. But again, he scored 30-plus in 3 of these 4 finals games. He scored 30-plus, like I said, to something like 16 out of the last 21 playoff games. He is doing everything he's supposed to do as the MVP and the leader of this team.
No, that's a fact. Neatly pull up Pooh's comment here. Who says Trip, Haron, and Eric, or is it because the NBA Finals lacks big names like Curry, Durant, Tatum, Jokic? Most want to see the big names. Yeah, because
Pooh always going to throw Tatum name in there. She always going to throw Tatum name in there.
Tatum's not a big name, man.
That's why I said that. That's why I said that. Because Pooh is always going to throw Tatum name in there. It don't matter what the conversation is. Tatum name going to be in there. Pooh is giving a comment.
The thing is, there's more casual basketball fans than hardcore basketball fans, right? So once you don't see the LeBrons, the Steph Currys, the Durant, Jokic, Giannis, none of the big. And for Pooh's sake, Tatum, okay? For you, Pooh, I'll say Tatum. But once you lose that, you lose a lot of that fan base, because again, these are casual fans that watch basketball, and when there's nobody that they know, you're going to see a lot of TVs watching different channels. I was saying a couple of days ago, this is like the first finals in a while where like none of the big 4 from either team are household names. Like, and there's none of the big 4. None of them also are, have been to the finals like that. So this is something we haven't seen in a while, where there's no real star power. So it's going to come down to the basketball purists that just love the game of basketball that's going to be watching. And unfortunately, like I said, there's more casual fans than hardcore.
But I think to a deeper level as well, like we're trying to force something that's not always there. It doesn't always break that way. A couple years ago when Denver played Miami, there wasn't, again, Joker was just becoming a household name. Miami didn't have the star power. So every now and then you're going to get finals like that where you're not going to get the big city and the big name all attached. Sometimes it's just going to happen. For the basketball purists, for the fans of the sport like we are, we're going to tune in and watch. I just think these 2 teams, their style of play isn't very appealing to most people as well. OKC really wins with their defense, and most people don't tune into an NBA game to watch lockdown defense. Yeah. They tune in to see the high-flying athleticism and up and down the court. And the Pacers don't have a marquee guy. The Pacers try to get up and down the court, but you can see when the Pacers aren't getting up and down the court, it's kind of boring basketball. They don't have the appeal either. So I think you're fighting the element of 2 teams who already don't have the star power and then don't have the appealing type of play that would make you say, hey, I have to watch this team play tonight.
Remember when the Sacramento Kings was playing? They had Chris Webber, Mike Bibby. Mm-hmm. People would still watch that team, even though they were in Sacramento. But that was the team that people would still watch, right?
Correct.
Or the Portland Trailblazers
or
and things
like that.
Suns.
Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash.
But they were big names, though. Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace.
No, they were not. Trip.
In comparison to no, I'm talking about in comparison to what we see from OKC and Indiana. Rasheed Wallace and Chris Webber were big names.
No,
they were 2
not.
of the top guys in the league.
They weren't
you didn't know Chris
superstars.
Webber coming out of college from the Fab Five?
The big 4 you was naming was LeBron, Curry, Durant, and who's the other one?
But hold on,
LeBron,
Trip.
Curry, Durant. Yeah.
You're saying Chris Webber coming out of college Fab 5. By the time he got to Sacramento, he was already like 8 years into the league.
Yeah.
But Chris Webber was a popular player in the NBA.
No, he was popular amongst the culture.
He wasn't that popular.
But he wasn't popular.
He was
not popular amongst. If you, I will give you a prime example. For as great as Chris Webber was as a player, most people still never acknowledge him as a great power forward because most people don't view him that way. He doesn't have that star appeal. Now, basketball fans, basketball purists look at him as a great player. We know he was highly skilled. But for most people, he wasn't that. What makes Sacramento appealing, to H's point, was their style of play. It was the way they got up and down the floor. It was the way they moved the ball. It was the run and gun style that made you like, this is exciting. This is exciting basketball. It wasn't about Chris Webber. It was about all the pieces that were in play there. Same thing with Phoenix, with Steve Nash.
Peja Stojakovic, Doug Chrisley.
Peja, Doug, Bobby Jackson coming off the bench. When they had white chocolate, then they went
Bobby
to white
Jackson
Diddy.
coming off the bench,
Yeah. That's what made them appealing. It was their style of play that they got up and down. And then they had a college atmosphere because they used to be ringing those cowbells in the arena. So it gave it like that. It was almost like early Oklahoma City Thunder. When the Thunder first started peaking and it had like that college environment and everybody's excited because like, look how exciting this team is. Neither one of these teams in the finals has that element to them. So we're not going to be excited about them in that same way. Now, to your point, Trip, in terms of basketball fans, yeah, of course we know who Rashid is. Of course we know who Chris Webber is. But if you and I were at a casual gathering, not one person would ask you, yo, what's your thoughts on Rasheed Wallace as an all-time great? Because nobody's ever going to talk about him that way because he's not viewed as a superstar.
Facts.
I can't hear you, Trip. I think you're on mute.
I don't know. I think those guys were way more popular during their era than anybody from these two teams are right now.
Well, I can't. You can't say that because Shea has been in the MVP running for 2 years in a row, and neither one of those guys have ever come close to winning an MVP. At least Shea has been more of a household name, especially during social media era, where people watch Shea during the Olympics. People were projecting Canada to be a team that could win a gold because of Shea. So Shea has been getting a lot of publicity over the last 2 years.
I'm just talking about the popularity level. I understand Shea won MVP, but there's a lot of people that still don't know Shea.
I think a lot of people didn't know. I think a lot of casual people didn't know Chris Webber.
Man, we can call it a stalemate on that one. Let me go to the next question. Ron says, to all of you, define a superstar.
I mean, to me, that's easy. Aside from the actual play, right? Because I think you got to be one of the elite players in the game. You got to have the appeal to get people to turn the TV on. As we said, if me, you, and H were somewhere out right now, and if the Warriors were playing, casual people would be like, yo, the Warriors playing tonight, put the game on. But if we were out somewhere right now and Game 5 was about to come on, most people would be cool just chilling. They wouldn't really worry about putting the game on. You got to have the appeal to make the casual fan, the aunts, the uncles that don't watch the game, the family members who just hanging out that's like, oh, LeBron playing tonight, Steph playing tonight, stuff like that, where you want to watch those guys. I think there's a lot of great players, and that's not to take anything away from some of the people we talked about. But there's a difference between you're a great player as a basketball player and then you have that star appeal where the casual person who probably never turns on a game would say, hey, let me watch the game. And I'm gonna give you a prime example. There are people I work with who are not sports fans that would ask about certain games during the playoffs. They'll ask about the Knicks, or they ask when Steph and them was playing Minnesota. I know casual people at work that have not asked one question about Pacers OKC, and this is the NBA Finals. Meanwhile, throughout the playoffs, when some of the bigger names were playing, they would ask.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, to your point, E, my guy would be, it would be like someone who changed the game, right? Like Allen Iverson, right? He changed the game. He was a game changer. He had the tattoos. He had the skills. He had the crossover, right? He came. He could score with the best of them. Nobody could stop him. And he was must-see TV, right? A Steph Curry, he's a superstar as well. So I would put, like, AI would be that superstar status, I would say, from the play on the court. and then also that impact that you have within the culture as well too. None of these people have like they don't do anything. They have no culture like they don't bring anything to the game other than playing the game of basketball. You could be a good player, but those superstars like a LeBron James, they last because they have that it factor as well too. Like when you oh, I play LeBron tonight. Oh, I play AI. Like it's a thing, right? Nobody's really saying I played Tyrese Halliburton or I played Shea, even though he's the MVP. He just hasn't
Nobody cares about
earned that.
Halliburton.
Yeah, it's like crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's gonna be like, I'm playing this guy. This is so the TVs work. The ratings Richter still works. If the Knicks was in the finals, it'll probably be like breaking.
It'll be a huge deal because this is the biggest market in the world. So it's going to be a huge deal. No matter who was on the Knicks roster, it was going to be a big deal because of the market that we're in.
And also the storyline. You know, again, you're talking about this history of the Knicks and the storyline of like, can they finally get over the hump? And that plays a factor in it as well. Like I said, it's, you know, all these things play into it. It's not just, oh, there's no LeBron, there's no KD, there's no Curry. There's also the storyline aspect. I think if we had a situation where it was like Boston and OKC, it would do great ratings because you would have Boston trying to go for a repeat and you would have OKC, who was the best team all year with the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you had Boston, Denver, it would be great ratings because you got Joker, who most people consider the best player in the league, going against the defending champs. But we're in a situation, again, where we're talking about a Pacers team that most people didn't care about up until this point. Let's keep it a buck. Find me the people who were saying, hey, the Pacers could come out of the East.
I don't think nobody.
Right.
Half the people in Indiana ain't say that.
Right. So that's why and we know, like, I think we talked about it before. Most of the people who were rooting for the Pacers to beat the Knicks, that was more about their hatred towards the Knicks. That had nothing to do with the Pacers. Nothing to do. It was just, we don't want to see the Knicks succeed, so we're going to root for the Pacers. But
which was insane.
There were nobody rooting there. And OKC in the West, they were the prohibitive favorite for most of the season to come out of the West. They weren't challenged much in the West because they ran through Minnesota quick. They had their big series, bless you. They had their big series against Denver. But other than that, OKC hasn't had much adversity. So there isn't much storyline here.
Yeah. No, it is what it is. But I do think coming out of this series, if you didn't already have Shea as a superstar, he is a superstar now. So I will say that. But listen, it's tough to get to that status. Who Ball Scoop says, should Orlando retire Nick Anderson's number?
Nick Anderson. Why?
I was about to say, I mean, what is his resume? Because it's not like
miss all those air balls and miss all the free throws.
Yeah, like I can understand. I can understand Shaq, retire Shaq's number in Orlando. I could even understand if he wanted to retire Penny's number in Orlando, but with Nick Anderson, I mean, it was just a Lifetime Achievement Award. No disrespect, Nick Anderson, but I just don't think he got the resume to have a jersey retired.
It's unfortunate because Nick Anderson's always going to be remembered for missing those 4 free throws against the Rockets in the 95 finals. He was their first, correct me if I'm wrong, in the group chat there in the followers, he was their first draft pick ever. So maybe that's what Hoop Ball Scoop was referring to because he was their first pick of the organization. But other than that, no, he doesn't have the resume to be a retired number. The only people in Orlando that should get their number retired, we're talking Shaq, we're talking Dwight Howard, we're talking and Penny. To me.
Exactly. So, yeah, there you go. So I think that's going to be a no for everybody on the panel.
You would probably retire T-Mac because T-Mac was great there in Orlando as well.
Yeah.
But T-Mac and Penny had the same number, so you would have to choose who's going to get that.
That's what I'm saying. Then they both was injury prone too, so I can't.
Yeah, both great players in Orlando, but
yes, both great, and they both were injury prone, which is crazy. And I rock with both of them. Okay, Brandon Chambers says, "Is Rick Carlisle an all-time great NBA coach? Is he top 10?" I mean, he is a championship coach. And his last team that he beat to win a championship, may have been one of the best teams assembled. So I would say he is on the list of all-time great coaches. Where he ranks, if he's top 10, I would really have to start doing some research. And to actually say if he's definitely top 10.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably make the debate. That would be a whole separate episode. We know that the most obvious: Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Greg Popovich. Those are like your top 4.
Yeah.
Then after that, maybe he falls in line. It's tough. I mean, depends on how you view Eric Spoelstra as an all-time head coach.
Yeah. I probably would put him in the top 10, though. To be honest with you.
Who? Spo?
Spo.
I think I agree. I think Spo's a top 10 guy.
Because even obviously we know the 2 wins that they have, but he's also been back to the finals.
Well, he's been to the finals 6 times.
Yeah.
And he's done it with different versions of the Heat, because he did it with the Heatles version, and then he did it with the Jimmy Butler version, which I think deserves a lot of credit, because the 2 times with Jimmy Butler, they were underdogs damn near all those playoffs, and he still was able to get them to 2 NBA finals. So Spo deserves a lot of credit. Yeah, I think you could maybe make the case for Rick Carlisle being a top 10 coach, but it's going to be fringe top 10. It's not like a definitive, easily top 10. He'll be somewhere in that lower 7, 8, 9 range to be able to crack the top 10.
Exactly. Haron, there was a question for you. I got to go back to it. Hold on, what was this? Hoopball Scoop wants to know, is Jason Tatum a superstar to you?
I think Jason Tatum is a really good basketball player, but I don't think he's a superstar, right? I don't know. I don't think he's a superstar.
Nah,
I wouldn't put him in superstar status yet, even though he has the NBA. Even though he has the NBA championship, I'm not gonna say he's a superstar.
Nah, he has the resume. One he has the resume. He's got the All NBA appearances. He's got the All-Star appearances. He's got the championship.
So he's a superstar.
He's in a big market city, which also gives him a boost. Yeah, he is a household name. He's an Olympian. He's a gold medalist. As much as I still give Jaylen Brown's respect as maybe being the leader and at times being the better player on the team. You can't take it away from Jason Tatum. He's definitely a superstar.
Yeah. I think I don't know. It's tough for me, man. Jason Tatum is a very, very good player. I think a lot of people gravitate towards Jason Tatum, but something about his playing style to me just always comes across as like it's not. I think Haron had talked about it before. It's almost like it's too cute.
Yeah.
For a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", he doesn't dominate the way that I would expect him to dominate. He doesn't take over games where I would want him to take over games. So he'll have moments like, even, it's unfortunate what happened in Game 4 at the Garden, but that might have been his most complete game. Jason Tatum that was the best version of Jason Tatum, right? And it looked great. But then you remember what he looked like in Game 1 and Game 2, and you're like, yeah, but this is the conundrum with him. That he'll give you moments where you're frustrated with his game, and then the next night he could look like one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
But what?
I don't listen. Hoop Ball School. I'm not biased. I'm honest with my critique on everybody, man. So it's not defending him just because he likes it. I'm just saying I'm not a big fan of his game because I feel like there's still a lot left in his game. There's still more. I think he's still got like 2 more levels to go to with his game if he ever just committed to being a dominant 6'8", 6'9" forward.
Yeah, and winning an NBA championship is not the end all be all for being a superstar, because there's a lot of superstars that won NBA champions.
Correct.
But people, I feel like people make it that way. If you win the championship, then you automatically.
It does give you no, you don't automatically, but it does give you.
But a lot of people make it that way.
No, because all right. So is Robert Horry a superstar?
Well, no, but that's not what he's
talking
about.
He's not. Come on, bro. Like
we're not talking.
When people mention Robert Horry, it's like, come on, bro.
Right.
The best player on the
No.
championship team.
What Haron is saying is that most people view if you're the best player on the team that won, you now have become a superstar. So he's not talking about the role players.
Bro.
Right. He's not talking about the role players saying that they're superstars. But to Haron's point, and I see why he's saying that, a lot of people, because again, now you become the household name. You won a championship, you were the best player on the team, so now you are a household name. You're a champion.
It can give you the boost. It can't give you the boost, but you don't have to win a championship to be a household name.
No, if you're one of the greats, if you're one of the elites, right? If you're Charles Barkley, you ain't got to win no championship. Yeah, you ain't got to be
all-time great.
Right.
Win championship. Allen Iverson, all-time great.
Right.
Superstar. Melo, I believe, is a superstar. Didn't win the championship. So many guys that haven't won championships, but are superstars though.
Remember, it's only one championship.
Yep.
And it's only one.
I'm messaging with Isiah right now. He's still having connection issues, so we're gonna try to reschedule for next week. Because he's still having connection issues. He hasn't been able to log on. So save the questions for Isiah Jackson. I'm talking to him right now on the DM. He's still having connection issues. So save those. We are gonna get to them. All right, so hold off on the Isiah questions for now. Let me go to these other comments. In the meantime, Brendan Chambers says Michael Jordan has the biggest brand in NBA basketball history. Who has the second biggest brand? Is it Kobe? I probably would say it's LeBron that has the second biggest brand, just because after Jordan, when you're talking about sneaker sales, and there's a huge gap between Jordan and everybody else, then it's LeBron, and then there's another gap, and then it's everybody else. He's been the face of the league for I don't know how many years at this point now. And LeBron is everywhere. Movies, the communities dealing with social justice. So I would say LeBron has the second biggest brand in basketball history. But what do y'all think?
It's got to be either Kobe or LeBron.
I would agree with that.
And if Haron agree with that, it got to be true, because he don't give LeBron credit for nothing.
Yeah, Cam Down saying it too.
Exactly. He can't even be on the camera to say it. That's how much you're paying him to give LeBron some props. Let me see. Hold on. First of all, I'm not okay. I may be biased in certain things for LeBron, but when we talking about facts right now, like, you can't deny LeBron's brand. Like, there's not a brand in basketball bigger than LeBron James outside of Michael Jordan. Like, my grandmother knew who LeBron James was.
That's what we mean when we say superstar.
Yeah, so I don't have to be biased on this one, because this is, you can't deny that. Isn't Kobe the biggest in China? Yeah, I would say Kobe is. He had a huge China market. But it's still the overall, because LeBron is big in China too. But we're talking about in the world, yeah, it's definitely, it goes MJ, and then it goes LeBron, and then you could put Kobe as the third. I don't know who I will put as the fourth, because I'm thinking maybe AI might even be, because AI's brand was crazy, and his following, like, so I might put AI in definitely in the top 5.
You wouldn't put Shaq's brand higher than AI?
Oh, you know what? I forgot about Shaq. I probably would put Shaq's brand.
Yeah, right.
The AI. So all right, so we're going Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Shaq. Can we put AI at 5, or is there somebody that you think has a bigger brand than AI?
I can't think of anybody right now. But I would say, I guess that's a pretty safe order. I can't think of anybody right now.
Yo, Ron. You damn right. Okay. All right, because what was that? When we be on our moments, we don't want to talk about LeBron, and y'all be bringing up LeBron, so be mad at us.
I tell y'all, y'all see the frustration. Like, y'all do this all the time, bro. Like, y'all Y'all bring them up, and then yeah, they do this just to get a reaction out of you.
I
Trip. I
know.
already know what it is.
That's why it's hilarious. Because y'all always blaming us. All right, let me see what else we got. Let me start going through. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to Tyson. The Knicks view Jaren Jackson Jr. and Towns as a dream frontline pairing. You know what? Honestly, I do believe that would be a huge upgrade in their front court, right? And I love Mitchell Robinson. I felt like Mitchell Robinson put in work for them when he's on the court, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is a two-way player. Mitchell Robinson is not. You know, he's gonna get you, he can get you 8 to 10 points, maybe. Get you double digits rebounds, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is a defensive player of the year who can also score. So you can have both of those guys together on the floor, and I think it can work because Towns will spread the floor because he's also a shooter. So I actually wouldn't mind that for the Knicks. Now, what you'd have to give up to maneuver that, I'm not sure, but I think that would be a tangible duel because even with and obviously not that Rudy Gobert is the most offensive of centers, but he's elite on the defensive side of the basketball. So it worked with him and Towns there. I think it would kind of be a similar thing to that if the Knicks were able to get Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is a highly skilled big. My only concern with it, if that is the scenario and that's the direction the Knicks want to go, is Jaren Jackson Jr. does not rebound. For a big, he's a guy who career average is only like 5.5 rebounds, and I don't like it. And that's why I think Mitch makes perfect sense because Mitch doesn't need offensive touches. Mitch is purely out there running around, getting a lot of cardio, blocking shots, rebounding, being a defensive presence who can switch on anybody on the pick and roll. And you get Jaren Jackson, raw numbers, it looks good. Raw numbers to say, hey, you're going to go from Mitchell Robinson to a guy in Jaren Jackson who can average 20 plus a game. But what happens when he's not getting the touches? What happens when the offense is mainly running through Towns and Brunson and now Jackson is really surviving off 12 shots a night? Is he still going to be the same impact guy? So if that's the direction you want to go, I understand it. But again, that would be my concern. I would prefer the Knicks to fill out their roster through their bench, let Mitch play the 5. Because again, I think when you have a big man who does not require touches, does not require offensive sets, you get the benefit of Towns can take 20 shots a night because Mitch don't care. Mitch is not expecting to get touches in the paint anyway. But if you bring in Jaren Jackson, now you have kind of this dueling big man where it's like, well, Towns just took three shots in a row. I got to get some shots up now. And now it just becomes a weird offense at that point.
Yeah. So you got your pros and your cons. Which, if you had your choice, Giannis, Durant, or Jaren Jackson Jr., who are you taking?
Giannis, Durant, or Jaren Jackson.
Yeah.
They all present different scenarios. I think Durant would be the one that would probably take less to get in terms of how much you would have to give up. He's an expiring contract. He's 36 years old. He'll be 37 by the time the season starts. So you're not giving up a bunch of draft picks. It probably would be a straight up like Karl-Anthony Towns and another cap filler for Kevin Durant. Mm-hmm. For Giannis, you're going to have to give up a lot. You're probably going to have to give up OG and Towns or Bridges and Towns along with future picks. You might even have to throw Deuce McBride in. Jaren Jackson is going to take a lot, and you got to give him new money because Jaren Jackson's going into the last year of his deal. For me, based on the way the team is structured, this doesn't mean who I think is the best player because I think Giannis is the best of the three. But based on the way the teams are structured, I think Kevin Durant is the best fit. It makes the most sense because you don't have to gut your team out to bring him in. He would actually probably be an upgrade over Karl-Anthony Towns because he's a better offensive player than Karl-Anthony Towns. So you can bring in Kevin Durant without having to gut your roster and still be able to fill out your bench. If you go Jaren Jackson to Giannis, Giannis, if not the best player in the world, he's the second best player in the world. If you go that direction, you're going to give up a lot of people. You're going to give up a lot of draft capital. And in the case of Jaren Jackson, you're going to have to give him a new contract as well.
Yeah. And yes, Pooh, I guess you and Imani will have to wait till next week to flirt with Isiah Jackson. Y'all are crazy. I love y'all. Y'all look so crazy. Ron says, thoughts on Desmond Bain trade? Did both teams win? Okay, well, first of all, Memphis traded Desmond Bain to Orlando. They got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They got Cole Anthony, and they got 4 unprotected first-round picks. And then they got 1 pick swap. I do like the move for Orlando because I like Desmond Bain's game. I think he's a really good player. I think he will mesh well with Paolo out in Orlando. As far as Memphis goes, what they get in return, you get an older Caldwell-Pope, who is a 3-and-D player. You get Cole Anthony, who's a good backup point guard. I guess the big part of that trade is going to be the 4 unprotected first-round picks and the pick swap. The only issue that I have with the trading picks for players is that generally in these situations, the team that's trading away the picks is getting a player who's going to help their franchise win more games, which means that then those draft picks don't mean as much when you have a team like Orlando who is pretty much playoff. You know, you know what I mean? They're gonna be somewhere in the playoff mix. I wouldn't say they're top 5, but I believe they're definitely like a 6 through 10 playing, but can be in the playoffs every year. But now you've just given them a key piece that's going to make them a legitimate playoff contender, I believe. Right. So I think they can at least be in that 1 through 8 where they're in the playoffs, which again now brings down the value of those draft picks.
Yeah. So to answer the question on the surface, then I'll go into detail. Did both teams win? In the short term, yes. In the long term, I think Memphis won, but in the short term, they both won, and here's why. For Orlando, as you highlighted, Orlando was the 7th seed in the playoffs this year, right? Mm-hmm. They have a young player in Paolo, they have a young player in Franz Wagner, but they can't shoot. They were one of the worst 3-point shooting teams. And now you add Desmond Bain, who's a career overshooting 40% from 3, a guy who can get his own shot, a guy who I think will be a great help spacing the floor for Paolo now, and somebody who also moves so well without the ball because remember he had the playoff ball with Ja. That, again, he helps you in so many different ways. Tough, physical guy, some playoff experience. Orlando gets better in the short term. Mm-hmm. For Memphis, the reason I like this trade for them long term, there are 2 parts of this. And you're right, Trip, in your assessment. Like you said, you trade a guy to a team, yeah, you get their picks, but they're going to be a playoff team. Those picks might not be the greatest. But 2 of those picks stick out to me the most. The one in 2026 is actually going to either come from Phoenix or Washington. Mm-hmm. Both those teams, especially if Kevin Durant is traded from Phoenix, those are going to be probably top 8 picks next year.
Even if Kevin Durant is
there, right? Even if Kevin Durant. But if we're projecting what those 2 teams are going to look like next year, mm-hmm. that's possible that those are going to be top 10, top 8 picks next year. One of next year's pick from either Phoenix or Washington that's now going to Memphis. The 2028 and the 2030 pick to me stands out because in the short term, like I said, for Orlando, this is great. We're sitting in 2025. You got Paolo, you got Franz, you got Desmond Bain. You're going to be a playoff team for the next 3 to 4 years, right? You should be. Mm-hmm. But Orlando has a long history of not being able to keep their superstars. So what happens come 2030 if you don't have Paolo anymore and you don't own that first-round pick?
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Now we get to the part where Memphis is
like must move if they ain't winning.
Exactly. Because, again, Orlando could be decent the next 3 or 4 years. They could be a good playoff team. Mm-hmm. But if they don't get over the hump, they're going to face the same challenges that Milwaukee's facing right now and every other team faces from a small market. We got an all-star player and we're not winning. Or is he going to stay or are we going to have to trade him? And if we get to 2028 and Orlando hasn't won and Paolo's debating on whether I want to stay in Orlando or force my way out, now those picks that Memphis owns become very sweet now because Orlando ain't gonna have much. Orlando is banking on these 3 guys. Again, you give away 4 first-round picks, you're basically saying this is our team for the next 5 years. We hope that we win something.
Yeah, you better try to lock in Paolo as quick and as early as possible because you're absolutely right, Eric. In 3 years, because if you think about it, if you don't win a championship within these next 3 years, right, which is going to be very difficult.
Yes.
Because Jason Tatum is going to eventually be back. The Knicks are not going anywhere.
Correct.
Cleveland they're young. They're not going anywhere. And wherever Giannis is in the East, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So you're right. You have a situation where, there's a good chance some picks might be really high as well. So
we could be looking at a situation. Remember when Boston, and not the same caliber player, but when Boston moved their guys to Brooklyn, They got all those future picks. And in the short term, everybody loved it for Brooklyn. And then when the picks started coming back, it's like, wait a minute, this is a top 3 pick. This is a top 3 pick again.
Old and they ain't got that many years left in the tank anyway.
So that's where I see this line for Memphis. And that's why I like the trade for Memphis. Again, you get that pick next year. That's either going to be from Phoenix or Washington. Both those teams are going to be in the lottery as expected. So you're going to get that lottery pick along with your own pick. And then 2028 and then even 2030, those are completely unprotected picks. If Orlando does not handle their business correctly, if Paolo for some reason is not there in 5 years, that 2030 pick becomes very, very appealing. I know it's further down the road, but that's where we stand with it. Also for Memphis, Trip, I've teased this idea. We got to find the footage because I've been saying this for a year and a half. I do not think Ja Morant is going to be in Memphis. And I've been saying it for a long time.
Yes. I think the two most talked about moves on this show were you talking about Ja being moved out of Memphis and me talking about the swap for Randall and Carl Anthony Towns. Yeah. So yeah, I've been hearing. We got to get Scoop B back on and to talk about all these rumors going down right now.
Listen, the NBA, and we criticize GMs all the time, but there's a lot of smart men working in the NBA.
Yeah,
and things don't just randomly happen. Okay, this deal for Desmond Bane has been something that Memphis has been exploring and talking about for quite some time. They got the best package they can get. Shout out to them. This is also why we criticize Nico Harris so crazy, because to know that you can get 4 unprotected picks for Desmond Bane, and yet Nico Harris, all he got was Anthony Davis and 1 pick for Luka, is ridiculous, right? But if you look at Memphis, you look at what's going on there, Trip. We're talking about in the last 3 months, they fired their head coach, who probably was the most successful head coach in franchise history. Now you just traded, if not your second, your third best player in Desmond Bane, right? Mm-hmm. Now there's also talk about, the Knicks would love to pair Jaren Jackson with Karl Anthony Towns. That means Memphis is open for business. They are moving, they are rebuilding, and they understand that the dynamic in the Western Conference is completely different. And what they're telling you, what you need to respond to, what we all need to pay attention to, is they're telling us what it is. Oklahoma City is going to be the best team in the West for a few years. San Antonio is on their way. Wemby coming back. Houston is on their way. Houston is becoming a very good young team. And Memphis looks at it, and they know Minnesota still has Anthony Edwards. And Denver still has Joker. I just named 5 teams that are probably going to all be in the mix next year for championship contention. Not to mention, you got Luka in LA. LA is going to always try to do something, right? Memphis is basically telling you, we're going to hit reset on this right now. We're not going to wait. We're not going to drag this out. We're going to trade these guys. We're going to get as much value. And if we got to be bad for the next 3 to 4 years, so be it. We will try to rebuild the way Oklahoma City has done it. But there's no reason for us to just be a play-in team, knowing that we have no traction. We have no way to compete. Exactly. We're going to move on. Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. are on the board. Again, pay attention to what they're showing you, because they're telling you Ja Morant is on his way out of it.
Pooh says, has Giannis said he wants to be traded? As of yet, it hasn't been publicly put out that Giannis wants to trade. In fact, I believe I saw that quite the opposite from the team. Maybe I want to say a week or 2 ago I saw. So no, I don't believe he's actually, unless in private maybe, but in public in the media, no, that hasn't been a thing as of yet. But listen, we don't know about these things until we know about these things sometimes. So, but listen, it's quite possible he could be on the move. Hoop Baller School, we definitely gonna finish the show with that comment about the top 50, because who better than to talk about the top 50 than myself and the legend.
Trash list.
All right, let me go to these next couple of comments. Hold on. Okay. Okay, well, we're talking about Ja, so we might as well. Things have changed over the last 3 years. Remember, Ja Morant in Memphis was supposed to be doing what OKC and Shea doing right now. Ja was supposed to be the next face, and then he started playing with them tools, and everything went downhill from there. You started doing that, you get the suspension, you got the injuries, team was all discombobulated, and now we at the point where we starting to rebuild. Because Desmond Bane was a big part of that team. So the fact that he's out the door now, just kind of shows Eric that the direction that they're going in.
Yep, I agree. And like I said, this is the writing is on the wall. They are starting to move in a different direction. It started with the firing of Taylor Jenkins. They got something very valuable for Desmond Bane. I'm sure they're talking to multiple teams about Jaren Jackson right now because why give Jaren Jackson a new contract if we're going to go into rebuild mode anyway?
Yeah.
And then Ja will probably be the final piece, and Ja will probably be the piece to swing a team because there will be a team who's pretty good, who feels like, hey, we're close, that will try to go after Ja Morant to elevate them.
Yeah. Ron, you know we got nothing but love for you, but yeah, you might be out of pocket with this statement that you're making right now. Is Shea and Jalen Williams the next MJ and Pippen tandem? Is that going too far, my man? If I don't know what's going farther than what you just said right there, and that's not even a disrespect to Shea or to Jalen Williams, but we talking about the GOAT, number one, and Scottie Pippen, who is top 25, top all time. Both as a duo, you're talking about two guys that are 6-0 in the finals. And they both have individual resumes that can, damn near compete with most other all-time greats. The difference in this situation, and they're good, so it's not a disrespect to them to say they're not MJ and Pippen, but Jalen Williams doesn't have the resume right now. Not saying he can't get there, but he doesn't have that resume just yet. Shea still doesn't have that resume just yet. Obviously, we know he has the MVP award, but that just came this past year. So they got a long way to go before we could even mention them in the same breath as Jordan and Pippen. And that's what the praise that we've given to Shea, saying he's a top 3 player, saying he's been an MVP at an MVP level from last season where we thought he should have or could have got the MVP award. But then we talking about Jordan and Pippen. That's different.
Ron, I rock with you, but Shea and Jalen, they not even the next Tatum and Brown.
Look at him. See, come on, you're up here starting trouble.
Yeah, but they not even. We talking Mike and Scotty. Are they even Tatum and Brown?
No, I don't even think they Tatum
Right.
and Brown.
They got way too many levels to elevate past. Gil, shout out to Gil's Arena because I fuck with Gil, but that's a shock value statement if Gil and them talking about that.
Yeah.
If Gil and them talking about that on his podcast, that's all for clickbait because Gil knows there's been a lot of great duos in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Shea and Jalen, to even if they're comparing them to Mike and Scotty first, you got to win a championship before you can even get compared to that duo.
Yeah,
that's like saying, oh, is Joker and Jalen and Jamal Murray, were they the next Duncan and Tony Parker? Why?
Yeah,
because it's a big man and a guard. Like you got to do a little bit more than just fill the position. So they're not even close.
And the other part to that too, right, is there's a huge gap between Shea and Jalen Williams. During that time, like Scotty was a consistent all-star. He was all defense. He was all NBA. Like, you know what I mean? So when we talking about a 1-2 combination, even like you mentioned, you say you go to, all right, let's go to you got to get to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum first, right? When you look at them, they at least have a championship. Jaylen Brown got a finals MVP. You know what I'm saying? He got an Eastern Conference MVP. Tatum got gold medals. Like their resumes are close. Again, no disrespect to Jalen Williams, but his resume is not even close to where Shea's resume, and Shea's resume is not even crazy right now. You know what I mean? He's great. Like, again, top 3, I believe, right now in the NBA, well deserving of the MVP. I think he could have got 2 MVPs back to back, but his resume right now just doesn't come close.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to, like I said, you got to get a little closer resume wise before you have that conversation. There's too many great tandems that you're jumping over just because it sounds convenient to say, oh, Mike and Scott.
Yeah. Devontae Harris, shout out to Devontae. He says Stephen A. Smith on First Take says if Giannis don't win another title, he has underachieved. Is that fair? No, that is not fair. Because this is part of the thing about the media that pisses me off,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yep.
we don't judge the players from the past like we do the players right now. How you gonna tell me the brother underachieved when he got a defensive player of the year, he got an MVP award, he got a finals MVP? How many players, and I'm talking about of the top players, I'm not even just talking about the whole whoever played in the NBA, can say that they have an MVP, defensive player of the year, championship, and a finals MVP? How many could say that? It's not that many that have all four of those things. Okay, so like, come on, man. Stephen A. Sometimes it, he goes a little too far with it, with the underachieving stuff. One, championships are team awards. There's nothing as what I'm saying, as much as great as Giannis is, and I believe we both have him in the top three, if I'm not mistaken, Eric. Right? It still takes a team to win a championship. It's not just one player in basketball that's going to win a championship for you. You have to have that team. So to say, he's underachieved is just crazy to me. I'm sorry, I can't rock with Stephen A.
It's a ridiculous comment, and it's another clickbait comment. This is what these shows do to create the clickbait so that you tune into the show. First of all, to call it an underachievement, what was the bar set at? Giannis was the 15th pick when he got drafted. So are we saying when Giannis was drafted to the Milwaukee Bucks, he was expected to win multiple championships for the Milwaukee Bucks, an organization that had not won since the 70s? That was not the bar. So how is it now underachieving for a guy that has exceeded every expectation when he got there? Show me the person that when Giannis was drafted 15th in that draft that said not only would he be an MVP, like you said, Trip, he would be a defensive player of the year. He would lead them to a finals. Nobody was projecting those things for Giannis. So how does that now become an underachievement because he would only win one NBA championship? Yeah. Again, the bar was set. He was a late lottery pick. No one had these expectations. When he went there, when he got drafted there, nobody thought he would even be the face of the franchise. And now here we are 11 years later, 12 years later, he's the face of the franchise, probably the second greatest player to ever play for the Bucks outside of Kareem, right? Now we're going to say it's an underachievement because he may only win one championship. I don't agree with that. Now, if Giannis were to join a super team and not win, then I can understand, hey, all right, you fell short of the achievement. You had an opportunity. Like you said, it's a team sport. Mm-hmm. If Giannis were to team up with two other great players and then not win, then I can understand saying, hey, that was an underachievement because you guys had a great team and should have won. But as currently constructed, with the resume and the career that he's currently had, there's no way you could say Giannis has underachieved in any way, shape, or form. He has outperformed any projection of what his career was supposed to be when he got drafted. Mm-hmm. He has completely outperformed that.
I go as far as to say, call Stephen A. Smith out. You're a Knicks fan, right? Have you ever said Patrick Ewing underachieved? Because he ain't got an MVP.
And he was the number one pick in the draft.
Exactly. He was the number one pick in the draft. He has none of the accolades that Giannis has. None of those big four that I named does he have. Come on.
No way. That's like I said, that's all clickbait. That's all clickbait. There's no way anybody could say it's an underachievement if he doesn't win another championship.
Yeah, and that's why we set ourselves apart from these other guys out here, because we ain't just out. Like, I don't give a damn about clickbait. We gonna tell you, really what we feel. We're not just saying stuff just so y'all could click on it. Like it is what it is. That's corny of Stephen A. Because you don't. I would say you don't speak about none of these stars from the past who don't have anywhere near the resume that Giannis has in that manner. Come on, man. Stop it, Stephen A. You better than that. What it do, baby? Shout out to Will Gordon. Devontae, Kevin Durant lists Heat, Rockets, and Spurs as his preferred trade destination. Sham says he has no desire to play with the Timberwolves. Where's he going? He probably should have a desire to play with the Timberwolves, because that may be the best situation for him to go to. I believe it was earlier today I saw that the Spurs weren't interested, or yesterday I felt like I read somewhere the Spurs weren't interested, but again, who knows? And then with the Heat and the Rockets, I don't know if I'm Kevin Durant. I think he needs to go to a situation where he has the best chance of winning a championship now because he doesn't have much years left. And I don't think any of these teams that he names, just by adding Kevin Durant, I look at the team and say, "Oh yeah, they winning the chip next year." No disrespect, because the Rockets were really good this year, but one, you're gonna have to give up part of what got you to where you were last year in order to get Kevin Durant. So you're not gonna have that. It's not like you're adding Kevin Durant to the team that was what they finished third in the West or second or third in the West.
Third.
You're not adding Kevin Durant to that team because you're gonna have to give up a couple of those pieces in order to get Kevin Durant. And then same thing with the Spurs. Is Wemby ready? Can he stay healthy? Can the rest of those guys do enough to get the Spurs over the hump? Adding Kevin Durant to the Spurs, I don't look at them as a championship team. I look at them as a legitimate playoff team, but I don't know if I automatically say, all right, we add Kevin Durant to the Spurs, and now I can see those guys in the finals. I don't see that. And same thing, excuse me, same thing with the Heat. I don't think it's a situation where you slap Kevin Durant in the 305 and it's him, my main man Swaggy T, and Bam Adebayo, and I'm automatically like, oh yeah, they winning a chip right there.
I mean, the reason Kevin Durant is listing those three teams is because you got to look at the structure of their organizations. He's trying to go somewhere with good coaching, good foundation. Now, if he goes to Miami, Miami's not a championship contender. If he goes to the Spurs, I don't think the Spurs are a championship contender yet, even with him and Wemby. But if he goes to the Rockets, with Ime Udoka as your head coach, if you don't have to gut that roster out, if you're able to keep Amen Thompson, if you're able to keep Fred VanVleet, if you're able to keep Jabari Smith, if you can keep those three guys around Kevin Durant, I think you got a very good team with Kevin Durant. Obviously, Jalen Green will probably be part of the deal, and then some other picks and stuff like that. But if you could keep like kind of 3 to 4 core pieces and add Kevin Durant, yeah, I think the Rockets would be a legitimate title contender because the coaching is good enough and the talent on the floor would be good enough, and then you would have a closer in Kevin Durant. I think Amen Thompson is one of the up-and-coming stars of the game. So if you keep him, I think if you keep him, it gives you a great running mate. I think Jabari Smith is a good young big. I think Fred VanVleet has proven he can perform in the playoffs as a veteran point guard. So if you keep those three pieces with Kevin Durant, you're a legitimate title contender. The Heat don't have anything to offer, to be honest. No disrespect, but I mean, what are they giving up? Tyler Hero?
Yeah.
If you offer Bam,
I don't think they would have been able to Hero.
So I mean, would they offer it? Because if even as current, they still got to give up something to make the money match. Yes. He makes $56 million, so you got to give up something. So either you're giving up Duncan Robinson and a bunch of other pieces, but Phoenix ain't taking that. Yeah. And then again, even if you slide in, even if Miami can finesse it in a way where they don't have to give up much players, I don't think Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero is a good enough trio to take you over the top. I think the teams in the East are still better than what Miami has to offer. But again, the structure of Miami makes sense because Kevin Durant might be looking at it from the standpoint of Pat Riley's always going to make a move. Pat Riley's always going to try to improve the team. So if I can just get over there and then let Pat try to make work his magic, plus it's South Beach. Who doesn't want to be in South Beach, right, Trip?
I know I do. That's my home. Let me go to Tyson. Ron here. Ron says, can Caitlin Clark lead the Fever to the WNBA Finals? She returned, had like 32, and was rating them trades like Curry. She's must-see TV, and I'm still saying no. She caught one. She caught our girl slipping a little bit. Sometimes you be looking past people. She caught us. But first of all, shout out to Sabrina, because Sabrina had a game. That game, they was going at it. It happens. It's a blip in the matrix. They're not beating the Liberty in the series. They might not even make it out the second round. You know what I'm saying? I think the saying goes, the sun even shines on the dog's ass some days. So it ain't like that. Sorry, don't get y'all hopes up. It ain't going down like that, all right? And if they make it to the finals, they getting smoked out the gym because the Liberty is winning back-to-back championship. Now I said it. Now what's up? What we gonna do about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think not yet. Caitlin Clark can't lead them yet. The gauntlet in the WNBA for that Fever team, that team is not complete yet. Minnesota's very good. Obviously, New York is defending champs. The best player still resides in Vegas. So I wouldn't put money on the Fever to come out of winning it all in the WNBA. I think they're still probably 2 years away from completing that roster.
Exactly. Brandon Chambers says it's crazy the NBA about to be over in a week. You
By the time we record, Monday's over.
What we gonna do, Eric? What we gonna do?
Yeah, we just dog days of summer, man. That's it. Now you know what time it is. We got to start getting our betting prop for football.
Yeah, that's a fact because fantasy about to start back up too. So, Hoop Scoop says, did y'all see Steven Jackson crash out after the big 3 loss? Yes, I did see that. No, it does not surprise me. It's Steven Jackson. We know who he is already. The name of this show, All the Smoke, has multiple meanings. So when it comes to both Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, because they definitely with all the smoke. We've seen that throughout their careers. Plus Steven Jackson is passionate, man. So it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't surprise me.
I'm not surprised, but I think I am surprised by the cameras just happen to be rolling as he started crashing out. Mm-hmm. And it conveniently, the footage drops right after the whole Dwight Howard, Lance Stevenson situation on the court. So it's great marketing and publicity for the big 3 right now.
Exactly. That's where we going next. And then Lance and Dwight scuffle. Wow, that was hilarious, bro. I don't even think they even really threw any punches. I think they just like kind of tussled their way to the ground. But it is good because it gets the ratings up. Those viral moments, because a lot of times, people be like, man, we missed the old days when you got a little bit more physical. You know what I mean? So to see that in the big 3, it's like, yeah. Shout out to Ice Cube, man. You know what I'm saying? You out here working. Let's see what you're doing. Let me see what we got next. Okay. Imani says, Kevin Durant, I love him as a player, but why don't his monkey ass need to go somewhere and just stay with a team, no matter if it's down times? Do changing teams in any way affect his legacy? Generally, I would say no. But in Kevin Durant's case, I'm going to say yes, just for the simple fact of there was so much controversy behind the move from OKC to Golden State. Because if you remember, Eric, they had a 3-1 lead, lost it that last season that Kevin Durant was there. And then, after that, he goes to Golden State, who has the best record in basketball. So that decision, had a lot of people coming, talking negatively about Kevin Durant. So now when you have these other situations where it's like, all right, so now the Golden State situation is over. Now we go into Brooklyn. I got another big 3 with me in Brooklyn. We basically do nothing except for get a couple of coaches fired, Erica, as you've told us. And then now we go to Phoenix and we can't even make the playoffs. So for him, I believe it is affecting his legacy. And in terms of where he's going to be finally ranked at when he retires on the all-time list, I think that's where it's affecting his legacy. Not obviously Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. He's an all-time great. That ain't going to change. But as far as when we're talking about now ranking him amongst his peers as all-time greats, that's where it starts to affect his legacy because he's been losing. And if you have a situation where, all right, let's just say that he doesn't go to Golden State, he goes to another team and they build it, they get it out the mud. I don't think people are as hard on him as they were after making that switch to go to Golden State. And then now you team hopping and teams were actually better before you got there. And it's looking like they're going to get better after you leave.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's legacy is always going to be very tricky because I think there was like a couple of defining moments in there. One, you could start from early on in his career. Obviously, him getting drafted to Seattle. If he becomes the number 1 pick, and goes to Portland, how does that play out differently for him? But we're always going to look back at that 3-1 series against Golden State that they lose, that they could have ended that Golden State year and maybe they win the championship, and then we never get into him leaving for Golden State. What if James Harden doesn't get traded and they keep their core guys together? Maybe they win earlier. If he doesn't get hurt in Golden State and they get the 3-peat, maybe that changes his legacy. And then obviously from there, it's kind of spiraled downhill. And no matter what anybody could say, that to me is the biggest underachievement, because Kevin Durant, when he became a free agent that summer, was on the cusp of probably being the best player in the world, right? He was back-to-back finals MVP. We all knew they would have beat Toronto if Kevin Durant was healthy. Him being a free agent, he could change the landscape of the NBA wherever he decided to go. He chose Brooklyn. And to me, that will always be the moment that changed his legacy, because, and the homer pick of me will always say, oh, he didn't really want to go to Brooklyn. But had he chose the Knicks, and you look at the love that Jalen Brunson has gotten from the New York fans and the media, that would have been Kevin Durant, bro. And we would be talking about Kevin Durant completely different. But he chose Brooklyn, and I thought he followed Kyrie there, and it didn't work out. And then now he's been trying to chase what he lost in Golden State, and that's why he went to Phoenix, and it hasn't worked out there. And now he finds himself about to be 37 years old. And like you said, he doesn't really have a quote-unquote home. He doesn't really have an organization that can say, hey, this is Kevin Durant. And it's a bit of a shame, because there's no reason that somebody as great as Kevin Durant should be now searching for a team. We shouldn't be hearing about, hey, Kevin Durant would like to play for these teams. It's like, bro, you're about to be on your fourth different team. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Those to me are going to be the things about his legacy that are always going to stand. It's never going to be about the play, because the play, we know he's one of the greatest ever. We know when it's all said, Kevin Durant is going to be one of these guys doing 1v1 when he's 45, 50 years old. Still cooking dudes. We know that. But the stain of these last, 7, 8 years, they weren't supposed to go like this. They weren't supposed to look like you bouncing around the league like you some journeyman. You wasn't supposed to be on 4 different teams and 6 seasons as if like you were some has-been. You were a great player. Too great for this.
Yeah, exactly. Would you consider, shout out to School Poop, he says, would you consider D Rose a superstar throughout his playing career or only during his MVP run? Well, I think once you reach superstar status, you pretty much have superstar status. Like I don't think that changes too tough. As far as obviously with D Rose, we know he was facing the injuries, but yeah, I think once he was a superstar, that was it. He's still a superstar. I mean, he's still one of them ones. He's still talked about amongst his peers as one of them ones. The age he got the MVP at, if Derrick Rose doesn't get injured, his resume probably looks crazy at this point.
Not throughout his playing career. He was not a superstar throughout his playing career. I thought he probably had a peak there, but obviously the injuries robbed him. And, he wins the MVP, and then the very next year he blows out his knee. So he probably was a superstar for three years of his career, where he was like elite level. You knew he was one of the best point guards in the league. He was damn near dunking on everybody, and he made the Bulls a contender. But after he blew out his knee, remember, he missed so much time. He took, he didn't trust his body yet. It took him a little while to get back. He was no longer a superstar. He was just a good player, a good veteran guy. Again, that kind of bounced around the league. Spent a little time with the Knicks, went to Minnesota, came back to the Knicks. So good player, but not superstar throughout his career.
Yeah. All right, let me go. Hold on. Let me get to these last couple of questions so we can get to that hip-hop question. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, here we go. Do y'all think? Okay. Do y'all think if the Thunder win, they can go on a run, meaning 2 titles in 4 years?
We doing this.
I'm about to say it's possible, but health and things like that. There's so many factors into getting back. Like let's just get them to 1 first. Let's just focus on them getting 1, and then we go from there. But yes, if you're saying, are they going to be legitimate title contenders for the next 4 years? Yes, I believe so. Healthy, if they are healthy, they're young enough, and they have a good enough core group of guys. They have the depth. They do pretty much everything. Yes, they will be in title contention.
All right. So just so we're clear, right? Any team that wins a championship could go on a run, right? Because if you win 1, then you could win 2. The reason I'm laughing is because this is the same thing you asked last year with Boston won. Boston's in position to go on a run. It's tough, bro. It's tough to win more than one championship. We had the same conversation when Denver won a couple of years ago. It is very, very tough to win multiple championships within a short period of time because the NBA is ever evolving. You see guys get traded every offseason. You see teams look for new ways to improve their roster every offseason. With that being said, whether the Thunder win or lose this series, the Thunder are going to be in the mix for at least the next 4 years. They got their core locked up. They got a lot of draft picks. Chet is still under his rookie deal. Shea is their star. Jalen Williams might become their potential Scotty to his Mike, as it was mentioned earlier. And then you can see Sam Presti has done a very good job of filling out the rest of the roster with Isiah Hartenstein, with Caruso. Lou Dort is going to be the tough decision that they're going to have to make because whether they win or lose, they're going to have to figure out if they want to keep Lou long-term or if they want to trade him high while his value's at his best right now. And then maybe give more minutes to Case and Wallace at that spot. And like I said, you already have a veteran like Caruso who can kind of play those Dort minutes as well. But the Thunder are going to be in the mix, I think, for at least the next 4 years. Can they win more than one championship? That's going to be the tough part. History has shown us over the last 5 years, every defending champion has lost within the second round of the playoffs. So the NBA is very balanced, it's very tough, but they're going to be in the mix.
Exactly. Shout out to Imani. She said, can she recommend a guest? Y'all know I'm from Michigan and I'm a Michigan State fan. I'd love to see if y'all could get the legend Mateen Cleaves on. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. I just made some baked chicken, yams, mac and cheese, and some Jiffy cornbread. Sorry for making y'all hungry. Imani, if you're going to say things like this, then you need to have a plate ready for me and Eric.
I was about to say, see, Imani, you foul. Don't say that.
Because that's cold-blooded what you just did right
Yeah,
there.
don't. And then she's going to casually log off as the forks start hitting the plate now.
I'm going to go on and get out of here because I'm going to get the items if I stay
I'm going to get out of here, guys. Now she got the game on in the background. She got the candles lit, the plate. Don't do that.
Boy, you ain't right for that.
Don't do that.
Oh, man. All right, let me see what okay. I'm going to get to this Tyson comments, and then we're going to get to that hip-hop question, and we're going to get up out of here.
I like this question from Tyson too.
Do the Lakers miss Caruso? And Lakers had Zubac from the Clippers, Randall, Ingram, and Ball, and Josh Hart for AD, and they won that bubble title. But I wonder had they stayed with the Lakers. All right, so here's my thing, right? Caruso, maybe. I mean, he's all defense, I believe, this year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, of course they would miss a guy like Caruso. Zubac, I mean, he ain't really done much shot, so I don't know about that one. Randall, one-time All-Star. Ingram, one-time All-Star. Lonzo been injured for the past 4 years. We ain't even seen him play. I don't even know if if he's gonna be able to come back and even play at a high level. Josh Hart, he's playing well right now, but I mean, for the most part, he's a role player. None of these guys have won a championship, though. Even though Caruso, he might get one this year. But so do they miss him? I mean, maybe, but Anthony Davis is an all-time great. Like, if you got an opportunity to get Anthony Davis, you're gonna take it. It is what it is. I don't think none of them players is on Anthony Davis level. So it is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. None of them is on AD's level, so we're not even going to try to debate that. I always said this. I said it in a moment. I said it at the time, Trip. Remember, even when they went and got Anthony Davis and they were talking about getting Kawhi, and I was like, getting a big three, I thought was a bad idea. Mm-hmm. At that time when LeBron goes to LA, LeBron is 34, right, around that range. He had, even though he was in great shape, he had a lot of mileage on him because remember he went to all those finals in the East. Mm-hmm. And I felt that the Lakers missed a golden opportunity to kind of build something sustainable around him. LeBron was still peak LeBron. LeBron was still, if not the number one guy, top two, top three, whatever you want to say.
Coming into that, yeah.
Right, at that point. But what I really would have liked LeBron and the Lakers to do, and maybe this is what Magic was trying to do, and maybe this is why Magic left, was build something sustainable where, yes, you bring in LeBron, you get him his running mate, but keep some of the young guys and fill out that team and give you a chance where LeBron doesn't have to have so much mileage. And we've talked about it for so many episodes. For so long, LeBron still had to be the best player on the Lakers. Even though AD was the younger guy, LeBron kept having to be the best guy.
Yeah.
And I think all those young guys we mentioned, they're good young players. Yes, none of them are Anthony Davis. You wouldn't have kept all of them anyway, right? New contracts would have required new guys to go different places.
Yeah.
Obviously you can't keep Randall and have LeBron and AD. It wouldn't work. Maybe you keep Caruso, but if you keep Caruso,
Randall was gone before the AD trade, if I'm not
mistaken. So Randall was already gone before the AD trade. But even still, my point being, like, right, even if you would have kept Caruso, you probably don't get to get at Austin Reeves because you don't develop Austin Reeves.
Exactly.
Right? Ingram, Ball, Hart, good young players. But again, I don't think you could Brandon Ingram and LeBron James, I just don't see how their playing styles mesh together.
Yeah.
So, but what I would have liked them to do is keep some sort of collection where it's like, hey, we have these couple young guys that we know we can continue to develop. And these could kind of be our young guys to carry us through the regular season so that LeBron doesn't have to put the miles on himself.
Yeah.
So that when we get to the playoffs, it's peak LeBron. They did do it. They went all in. And to your point, Trip, and I got to agree. If you could tell me, hey, you could probably have 6 really good years in the NBA as a team, but I can't guarantee you're going to win a championship. Or I could guarantee you 1 championship, but I don't know what the other 6 years are going to look like. Everybody and their mother is going to take the 1 championship.
Of course, because look what you just said a couple of minutes ago. There's been a different NBA champion. The last 6, 7 years.
There's going to be 6 straight year different NBA champion.
So hell yeah, you're gonna take that one.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds nice to say, hey, we were good for X amount of years.
Yeah.
How many chips did you win?
What did you win?
Right.
Did you win? Because that's what
most people would agree. I'll take the 1 guaranteed. Give me the 1 guaranteed moment, and we hope everything else goes fine. But at least for that 1 moment, we know it's us, as opposed to 6 years of being good, but there's no guarantee that anything's gonna come of this.
Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the Lakers win the championship if they don't make the AD trade. Like, yeah, those guys could have developed into something, but none of those guys has developed into a superstar to where I feel like if they would have kept that core together, they would have eventually won a championship.
Yeah.
And let me go to the second part of Tyson's question. I wonder if Hart, Ball, Randall, Ingram, and Randall stay. I still see a tight. Lakers have had nice young players and got rid of them. Yeah, I don't think they win a championship without a legitimate number 2 player because honestly, Julius Randle wasn't balling like that in LA. He didn't really.
Julius got hurt his rookie year.
But what I'm saying, we didn't look at Julius Randle in the upper echelon until he got to New York and started balling. He got to the All-Star team. Prior to that, he wasn't playing at an All-Star level. While he was in LA, definitely wasn't in the moves to get to New York. He wasn't doing that. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't see them winning the championship with that core of guys. Even now, if let's say now what we know of Julius Randle, him being a one-time All-Star, I don't think him as the second best player with LeBron in LA wins the championship.
Yeah, I don't think I would probably have to agree with that. And I also think we can't minimize the impact Anthony Davis had on winning that championship. However you feel about the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
I said it then, I'll still say it now. Anthony Davis was the MVP of that finals. Anthony Davis was the best player in that series. His impact on offense and defense. And I don't know if they could have beat the Miami Heat without Anthony Davis. Like, the guys we're mentioning are good players. But if you're telling me it would have been, let's say, LeBron and Brandon Ingram as the best 2 players on the Lakers with Josh Hart and Caruso, I don't know if they could beat the Miami Heat. What Anthony Davis did in that series against Bam Adebayo, offensively and defensively, set the tone for the series.
Yep.
So, and LeBron wins MVP of the series, but AD to me was the best player in that series. And yes, Randall did play with Kobe his rookie season.
Yeah. So it is what it is. All right, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, the moment y'all been waiting for. Let me go back so I can pull this question up. Shout out to Hoopballer Scoop. They named New York's top 50 New York rappers of all time. I'm just gonna post the top 10, but I tag both of y'all. I will check out the full one later. Number 1, obviously, the GOAT, Jay-Z. Number 2, Biggie Smalls. Number 3, Nas. 4, Rakim. 5, LL Cool J. 6, 50 Cent. 7, Nicki Minaj. 8, DMX. 9, Buster. 10, KRS-One. And I'll tell you where I have the problems at on the list. One, I don't believe Nicki Minaj is ahead of DMX. I'm sorry, no disrespect to the Barbs, none of that. But I cannot rank Nicki Minaj higher than Dark Man X on no list. I'm sorry. The only person to still have two multi-platinum albums in the same year. I think it might even not just hip hop, just period. To have two multi-platinum albums in the same year. I cannot put Nicki Minaj ahead of DMX. And I don't even mind Nicki Minaj being in the top 10 if we're talking about New York, but I just can't put her ahead of DMX. So no disrespect to Nicki, because I do believe you can keep Nicki in the top 10. But I just, like I said, I just don't think she's ahead of DMX. That's the first issue I had with that. I don't think I'm okay with KRS-One being in the top 10. My problem would be with Buster, because I don't, and again, shout out to Buster, but I don't think that I could put Buster ahead of Jadakiss. I don't think I could put Buster ahead of Cam. Let me see, is there anybody else I feel like I don't
There's
think
some, bro. This list is trash.
Yeah.
Trash, super trash. I want to know what the criteria is, because if we're talking record sales, right? If you're gonna say record sales,
then you got to shake.
But hold on, hear me out. If you're saying record sales, all right, then you could justify why Nicki Minaj is number 7, right?
Yeah. Okay.
If we're saying record sales, then why would Ja Rule be 37?
Then that's what I'm saying. So it's weird how they did. Because again, I'm looking at the top 10. I haven't seen the rest of the 50 and how they got the ranking.
Nah, I got the list right here. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're saying, if the criteria was record sales, right? If that's why they say, hey, that's why Nicki's top 10, all right, then Ja Rule should not be 37, because Ja Rule record numbers is better than a lot 90% of this list.
Yeah.
So there's that. If we're talking bars, if it's just purely lyricism, there's no way Busta Rhymes is ahead of Pun, Jadakiss, Cam, Mos Def, Method Man.
Yeah.
Like, then you got Pop Smoke at 27, and I love Pop Smoke.
Nah, you can't do that.
You got Pop Smoke at 27, but then meanwhile Mace is 28, Big L is 29.
Nah, that's crazy.
So again, what's the criteria that we even using to judge this?
Yeah,
how you got Fab at 32.
And I love Pop Smoke's album. You know, much respect to Pop Smoke.
Right.
Shout out to his brother who came to Ballin for Peace yesterday. His mom came last year to Ballin for Peace, but we just talking about straight hip hop right now. And I don't think that Pop Smoke has the resume.
Nowhere close. I love Pop Smoke
on the list.
Yeah, I love Pop Smoke, but Pop Smoke, no way, bro. And then, like I said, you got Fab at 32.
It's crazy work.
And I'm looking at the list. I'm like, yo, most of the people in front of him lyrically can't fuck with Fab.
Let me ask you this: should Tupac be on this list? Because he is from New York. I know the West Coast like to claim him, but we gonna be clear.
I think for the sake of the list, they wanted to focus on those that kind of made their name for themselves out of New York. They were from New York and made their name out of New York.
Okay.
So I think that's why they went that route with it. But the list is completely flawed. I thought it's lazy from the jump, because again, it's easy to throw Jay, Biggie, Nas at the top of any list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the top with 1, 2, and 3. I'm okay with that. Because I don't think I would put anybody on the list ahead of those 3 guys. Now you could argue LL Cool J because of the success and the time that he's did it, maybe, but I don't think you can make the case to put him ahead of Jay. No. And if we're talking about, just straight up rapping, I don't even think you can make the case to put him ahead of Big.
No, LL's 5.
But I'm okay with him being in the top 5 though.
Like I said, to me the list is flawed because it kind of looks like they was going back and forth between. Shout out to Janetta, because I see what she said. She said I think it's a combo of rapping and impact. But even still, the list doesn't make sense, because if we're talking impact, if we're talking rap and impact, Jim Jones ain't number 45 then.
Hell no. And Jada should be way higher too then, like just off the last 3 years.
Because again, if we're saying Jim is 45, you telling me rap and impact, Jim ain't had a bigger impact than A$AP Rocky, than Nori?
Yeah, nah, you out of order.
Than Foxy? Like Jim has had however you feel about Jim as an artist, you can't deny his impact in the game.
Where's Kane at on the list?
Kane is, what did I see Kane? 19.
Okay. I better have my man Kane in the top 20 because that'd have been disrespectful. Let me put up Janetta's comment. Yeah, so for fun, where do you put Nicki Minaj then? But I wonder if it's a combo of rapping, impact, and sales. I agree. DMX ahead of Nicki. Is Fat Joe on the list? Fat Joe got to be on the list. I don't know where, but I know he got to be on the list.
Fat Joe is 30. Where I saw he's 32. I'm sorry, 31. They got him 31. They got Fat 32.
Okay, so yeah, Fat Joe got to be on the list. You can't have a New York list and with the longevity that Fat Joe had, and he's still putting out hit records. He got at least one. He's still dropping.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
And again, if we're talking impact, right?
It's impact too, you know.
But not all right. I'm gonna give you another one. So you got Biz Markie at 47.
See, the problem is you got people from different eras doing these lists.
That's the major issue.
So you're gonna have a mix of young and old, because if we're just doing say we're doing a voting system and you got cats that they don't really know much about pre-2000s, pre-90s, pre-80s even, then they're gonna vote a certain way.
But that's why these lists, shout out to Will Gordon, because we did something similar when we ranked our favorite rappers as well on one of the Friday Night Lives. And I've set a specific criteria. That's why I think like these lists are so flawed, because you gotta say, all right, if we're talking sales, then it's purely sales. If we're talking lyricism, then it's purely lyricism. But you can't pick and choose what points you want to do it. Because like I said, to Janetta's point, even if it's a combo, there's no way that Pop Smoke is above Mace. Mace is a better lyricist than Pop Smoke. Mace was one of the top selling artists in his prime.
I'm saying, and if you talk about sales,
right? So there's no way Pop Smoke would be on any list ahead of Fab, ahead of Mace, ahead of Fat Joe. He wouldn't be on the list ahead of Jim Jones. And I love Pop Smoke, but he's not on the list ahead of any of those guys.
No, that's a fact. So where do you put Nicki Minaj? And like I said, I don't have a problem if you want to keep Nicki in the top 10. Because especially if you're talking about the combination of those things, then you know what? You put some respect on Nicki's name.
All right, so let's do this. Let's redo the top 10.
Okay. Just only the top 10.
Top 10.
But somebody got to be out of the top 10 though, because
I already know who's gonna be out of the top 10.
So we already said we're gonna keep. Hold on, let me pull the list back up here, so it's back on the screen. 1 second, y'all.
Shout out to Devontae. Bring that question up to that last one. That's a good question.
All right, I'm gonna pull that up in 1 second. I just want to pull up this list real quick, and then we'll go to get to those comments. So we locked in at 1, 2, and 3. Are we keeping? We're gonna keep
J Big Nas the same.
Okay. Are we keeping Rakim at 4?
Yeah, I
don't have a problem with the God MC being at 4.
I'll say you gotta keep the God MC at 4.
And I don't have a problem with LL being at 5.
Okay, so we cool with the top 5.
Yes.
All right, this way it gets interesting.
Okay. Are you okay with 50 at 6?
I would push him down a little bit. So I would take him out of 6.
Okay, so who's going ahead of 50?
We're talking pure New York. What's our criteria? We're using the total catalog, sales, and rapping?
All right, sales, lyricism, impact.
Sales, lyricism, impact.
Yeah.
I'm putting Kiss at 6.
Okay. I'm okay with that. So now who's 7?
I'm sorry. I'm putting DMX at 6.
Okay. DMX at 6.
And I'm putting Kiss at 7.
Kiss at 7. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then so now you're gonna put 50 at 8?
I'm putting Nicki at 8.
Put Nicki ahead of 50?
Yeah.
Big Queens.
Because you can't deny her longevity. As much as we love 50, 50 had a quick run.
You know what? Yeah. I'm okay.
Nicki's had more longevity. So I'm gonna put I'm
Okay.
putting DMX at 6, Jade at 7,
Mhm.
Nicki at 8,
50 at 9.
50 at 9.
Okay.
And then I think number 10 gotta be, to me, it would be a tie between Cam and Fab.
Okay.
Again, longevity. You talk about two guys that have been in the game over 20 years. Their
Yeah.
impact on the game, the culture.
Yeah. And I feel bad taking KRS-One out the top 10, but
I do too. But KRS-One is a founding father of the game.
Yeah.
But his impact, because you got to look at it this way too. Even when we was coming up, KRS-One didn't have really a place in the game at that point. He wasn't making music like that at that point.
Yeah.
You look at, like, again, Fab's first album came out in 2001, bro.
He's still putting out music now.
Yeah, he's still putting out quality music.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm cool with that. All right. So that's our 10 right there. Jay, Big, Nas, Rakim, LL staying the same 1 through 5.
Top 5 stay the same.
DMX at 6.
Yep.
Jada at 7. Nicki at 8. You said Fab at 9.
Now we did hold on. What we did? We did DMX at 6. Jade at 7.
Okay.
Nicki at 8. 50 at 9.
50 at 9 and Fab at 10.
Yeah, Fab and Cam, you can go either direction. I probably lean more towards Fab, but I'm a fan of both.
All right, cool. All right, so that's our list. Now, let me go to
the official list, man.
That's our list right there. Will says for him, he got Jay, Nas, Jada, Fab, Meth, and he's not counting sales. That's his top 5 from New York. I'm not mad at that.
I'm not in this great list.
Let me go to Devontae. Outside of Nicki, what other female rappers is on the list? Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown, does them not putting out much music, hurting them. It's almost like they stopped recording after 10 years. But I mean, 10 years is enough of time, because think about it. We ain't get that many years of Big. And
that's why I liked his next question. If you look at his next question, that's why I like that one as well.
Yeah. Same thing with a couple of guys that we didn't get. Pun, who's in the top 50. We didn't get too many years of Pun. So but yeah, I believe Kim is on the list.
Kim is on the list at, where did I see her at? Was it at 12?
Okay.
Foxy is at 34.
Is MC Light on that list?
I did see MC Light. She's at 39, right behind Ja Rule.
All right, just making sure. She better.
And then the ultimate disrespect, they put Ice Spice at 50.
No, you out of pocket. I'm sorry.
I told you, bro.
Is Roxanne Shante even on the list? And you got Ice Spice at 50?
Nope.
Nah, I'm sorry. And this ain't no disrespect to Ice Spice. Ain't no way in the hell Ice Spice gonna be on the top 50 list and Roxanne Shante.
And you got Cardi B at 25.
I'm actually okay with Cardi B being on the list, but Ice Spice should not be on that list. I'm sorry. Ice Spice got 2 records.
I'm fine with Cardi being on the list. Like I said, I think 25 is too high, especially when you got had 25, but then at 26 you got Raekwon.
Nah,
and then you, like I said, you got.
I'm okay with her being in the top 50 though.
Yeah, I know. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with her being on the list. I'm just saying, when you look at who they put her in front of, it's like, again, in those situations, we know you're talking about record sales.
Yeah.
But then in other situations, it looks like you're trying to say lyricism.
Yeah, it's weird. Don't Kill Me. So Biggie only made 2 albums. How's he number 2? Longevity don't count. Longevity does count, but sometimes you just get an all-time great. Like, kind of look at him like he kind of like Earl Manigault. That's how people talked about him. Like, he put out a body of work that with the albums that he put out, people done had decades in the game and ain't reached that.
Right.
And ain't compared to that. That's why he's there. And then if you want to talk about the impact, ain't too many artists currently that had that type of impact, to where man been going for how many years now, and we still talk about him like he here.
Nah, Devontae, I mean, it does count for something, but I also wouldn't want to penalize somebody. Obviously, he was murdered. It's not like he just stopped making music.
Exactly.
But also, I think to keep in mind where we were at as a culture musically, and maybe if for some of you guys that are outside of New York, you may not understand it in this way. So I'll try to explain it the best way I can. In New York, before artists would really break, they would do like the mixtape circuit. So we had heard a lot of Biggie's verses from him freestyling, from him being on mixtapes. So before the album dropped, it was so anticipated because he was so dope in the streets that we kind of count that as his catalog as well. You know what I'm saying? When you hear songs like Party and Bullshit, that wasn't on the album. Yeah. That was a song that he had created when he was still an underground artist. So nowadays, you know, young artists will upload something straight to YouTube, Spotify, and you hear about their buzz, and it kind of gets all lumped together as if like it's all their body of work. But at that time, you would have the mixtape circuit. You would have somebody drop that EP with like 4 or 5 songs on it, and then you knew about it, and it would be featured. You look at some of Big's best joints, Party and Bullshit, his verse on Flavor in Your Ear, his verse on the 112 songs. Those wasn't even his official songs. That was just Big killing a song to the point where the city was like, yo, Big is the best right now.
The reality is he does have a bigger catalog than you think, because we're thinking about, and really we're thinking about Ready to Die and Life After Death. We're not even thinking about the third album, Born Again, even when we consider that. But Big has a lengthy catalog. It's just that he only has the 2 albums that he put out while he was alive, and then obviously Born Again came out after he passed away. But it's just not, even with that small sample of, just say he just had the 2 albums, there's not guys that can rap better than Big. And on top of that, we're talking about 2 classic albums, and one of them was a double album. Yeah. And we're talking about 2 classic albums. Like, guys don't have a classic album, and have 10 albums out and ain't got a classic album.
Yeah, it was, like I said, his body of work was so crazy in that short amount of time. And I'm always big on timeless content, timeless music. Like, if I could put the verse on right now and we could still be in awe of the verse, to me it's something special. You could put on a lot of damn near everything of Big, but if you just listen to the wordplay, and it's crazy to think that 30 years later the wordplay still hits the same. And then when you really think back, I'm like, yo, this dude was like 24 when he said that.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. Like, just, I promise you, Devontae, you will not be disappointed. Go back and just listen to the storytelling and the wordplay of Biggie. And you're going to be like, yo, it's crazy to think this was 30 years ago and it still can hit that same way. And then also be like, yo, he was only 24 when he was saying that. Yeah,
it does, because you can play a lot of them songs now. And
you listen to I Got a Story to Tell, Somebody Gotta Die. You listen to the work, the way he's setting up the bars.
Yeah, man, it's different.
It's crazy, bro.
Eric, let's get into the final segment, man. Final thought.
All right. I just got some breaking news on my phone as well as we were talking here, man. Trip, I'm gonna send you the invite, because the Sanchez show we recorded, I told you we're gonna do Wednesday. We were gonna do Thursday for the pregame, but we're gonna do Wednesday. Okay. But I got the breaking news. Will Gordon is joining the show. He wants to do top 10 New York rappers versus top 10 rappers of the South. So that's going down on Wednesday. You know, it's not even a competition, but we're going to do it for the people. Make sure y'all tune in. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And I let him set the criteria. He said the criteria being lyricism, impact, and swag. Fuck sales. That's his words right here.
If you're talking about swag, then that means in all New York.
I don't even think it's a fair. I don't even think it's a fair debate.
That's not even like the South follows New York in that regard. Like,
listen, it's going down this Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. The Sanchez Show. We're gonna do that episode, as well as we'll get into a little bit of Game 6, because obviously the day before Game 6. Shout out to all the supporters out there. I hope y'all rock with us on Wednesday. Keep rocking with us. Shout out to Haron for joining us earlier. And if I don't get to speak to y'all on Wednesday, enjoy your Juneteenth, man. Don't let them rob you of the holiday.
No, that's a fact. I'm just going to have my final thought. Apologies again, guys. Isiah Jackson had connection issues, but we're going to work on getting him back up here next week. Also, again, congratulations to H2O on another successful Ballin' for Peace event. And thank you to y'all, man. Y'all keep us going. Y'all keep the engine going. And that's real facts right there. So shout out to all the supporters. Y'all keep them comments coming in every week, and we're gonna keep doing what we do. With that being said, make sure you following us on all our social media: Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. You see the YouTube right there, YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment, all that other good stuff. And of course, if you're not in New York City on on Thursday nights, from 8 to 9 p.m., don't worry, you can still watch us from anywhere in the world. Just go to the website, realfansrealtalk.com, and click that red button on the homepage. You can watch from anywhere in the world. And make sure you subscribe to the two best podcasts moving. That's the Sanchez Show podcast, and of course, the Real Fans Real Talk podcast. We got a lot of stuff in store for you guys. We got a lot of guests that's going to be coming through in the next couple of weeks. So just stay locked in. For myself, Trip Young, my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in Two Games. We up out of here. Peace.
This is Deion Grant from the New York Giants, Super Bowl champ, and you're watching Real Fans Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe the can.
This is Real Fans Real Talk. Real Fans Real Talk. We as real as you thought. Real